Basically, this video is that a lot of events are doing shenanigans and mess, and you guys keep tagging me in them, and so we're just gonna get caught up on a bunch of them with this video. That's it, that's my intro. Hi, I'm Amanda, you're watching Swell Entertainment. I make a variety of content, but I am mostly known as the event chick because no one covers the variety or attends the variety of events that I do, aside from probably vendors. I typically review events that I've been to, but on occasion, when there's a big mess of something and I feel I have something to add or something to discuss about it, I will cover it. However, that has led to an influx of you, my viewers, sending me and tagging me in every single event thing that is not quite above board, which I do appreciate because I like knowing things. But I need you all to understand, not everything is something that I can add to, therefore not everything is a video, okay? And so I get like being like, hey, let's have someone talk about this. I get it in that regard. Also, something I need a lot of you to understand, I have less legal protection when I am not at an event and I have not attended an event. A lot of things that I say in videos can be protected by me being like, this is my experience as an attendee. Therefore, it's my experience. When I'm not actually at the event, I don't have that legal protection. Now, some of you are gonna be like, well, you should talk about this anyway. I hear you, but also I am one individual with limited funds. I can't just have a lawyer on retainer, okay? Okay, sometimes I gotta veto a video. Today's video, we're getting caught up on a bunch of events that happened. One event that you guys are gonna expect in this video that we're not going to talk about in this video because I'm saving it for a different video that I'm also filming the day as I'm filming this. We're not talking about Sinners and Stardust in this video because Sinners and Stardust is a very clear example of attendees and people involved, like at an event, violating boundaries and in some cases, based off what I've heard, actively committing assault. Just because it's women doesn't mean it's not assault. That's a separate issue. That is not shenanigans of the scamming nature at an event. Because other than that, everyone's like, this event was actually really well done, things like that. Doesn't negate what happened, okay? But that's a separate issue than what this video is covering on. So that's why we are putting it in a different video. But I wanna make that abundantly clear because I know a lot of you guys are gonna be like, why didn't you talk about this? We're talking about it in a different video. This video is about events that are allegedly scams, allegedly did not provide anything that they promised, allegedly just messes. Notice the word allegedly. I'm going to legally protect myself, chat, because none of this can happen if I'm dealing with lawsuits. Today we are covering the National Gaming Expo, Once Upon a Con, and what was the other one? Anime market in various states and countries. That's mainly what we're covering. I'm sure something else will pop up, or one of you will be like, why didn't you cover this? With the one video, this is what we're working with, okay, chat? This is gonna be a best practices going forward. Tagging me in videos, tagging me in receipts, tagging me in tweets and things like that. Totally cool and fine. Sending me an email. This is a very detailed email of someone that was vending at this event sent me, okay? We'll talk about them in a second for anime market. To protect yourself and to protect me, never send me a Discord link. Also, I will never click on a link that you send me in DM. Never, okay? Respectfully. Not your fault, okay? But also, Discord, especially if it's a Discord that's like for staffs, for vendors, for attendees, things like that. Again, legal protection. I know it's a gray area because it's a Discord. You can't just add me to those things, chat. Also, my screen name on Discord is Swell Entertainment. I don't care that I'm saying that. I will not friend you. I don't know you, okay? Side note, because whenever I talk about Discord, I get a bunch of like friend requests. I don't know you. Stop. Be done. When you join Discord, it says Swell Entertainment has landed or something of that nature. Now they know that YouTuber who covers mess events is now aware of said event in a way, and also potentially aware of a Discord that has evidence of shenanigans. Now, if you are someone that is actively trying to seek legal ramification, someone adding me to that has now blown up all of that because a lot of these Discords, my understanding for Once Upon a Con, have now been nuked, or you cannot see any past messages even if you are an attendee and things like that. Never add me to a Discord. Never send me a Discord link. It's for your protection. I've talked about this previously with like private Facebook groups and things like that. It's a personal, professional courtesy of like respecting the privacy bounds and things like that. And also for yourself, if it can be traced back to you, things like that about like, oh, who allowed Swell Entertainment in? You tried to do X, Y, and Z. let's be smart. Let's be smart, okay? I'm not saying that it was dumb for you to do that or anything like that because someone's gonna be like, Swell's calling me dumb. No, I'm just saying we've never discussed it, and so I'm discussing it now. Be smart, protect yourself. In this regard as well, this is me actively having to be the one to be like, I will never click that link. I will never click a link you send me over DM. Also, most DMs links are not clickable. There's a reason we have links turned off in comment sections on most social media platforms of mine. Let's talk about Anime Market because this has been going on for a while is my understanding. The one that just recently happened, I believe, is Anime Market Sacramento. Quite a lot of you DM'd me about this one. This one was in July. Okay, obviously it's August as I'm recording this. So a lot of you messaged me about this one. They had voice actor meet and greets, VTuber meet and greets, artist alley by artists for artists, with over 60 plus artist booths with some of the best local international art on the market.
I really wish I had seen the warnings about this event because I have never left an event early before and I feel really bad. Came to Anime Market Sacramento from Seattle. It was remarkably slow. Up front, there were a ton of empty tables. These were taken at peak hours. A few other artists tried to get me to trust the process and hey, it's a Friday, it's a new show, but I have a bad feeling. I saw under 50 attendees in the building the entire day. I left 2 hours early. I couldn't do it. That sucked.
The event overall was hosted by a Singaporean host and apparently has previously done this event in Singapore. You are not telling me if I can say your name or not, so I'm not going to. If you would like to self-identify in the comment section, that is your call. But this is, hello, I am writing to you as someone who attended one of these events as an artist who vended and attended the Anime Market Missouri event. There are 3 events in total. One has been going on in Singapore for about 3 years now, whilst Missouri and Sacramento are new as of 2025. Here is a link to a document that is 100 pages long, and it talks about the first ever event that was run by the person company. Now I'm going to open this link. I shouldn't, but I'm going to. Anime Market, DDAM, started out as a passion to make anime convention that was by artists for artists, the original slogan of the event. That was the brainchild of Singaporean artist Meow Meow Girl X Meow, who sponsored the capital for the event and enlisted our efforts for the project to succeed. We hoped to learn from lessons from boothing, cosplaying, and observing other Singaporean conventions over the past few years, wanting an enjoyable event where artists, regardless of experience, could befriend one another. However, over the past 8 months, we have been subjected to numerous unreasonable demands and unwanted mistreatment by Meow as an organizer with a myriad of issues and stories that were harmful or even abusive for those around her. We have decided to write this document to serve others as a PSA to avoid working with her for future events, to prevent hurting fellow artists or fellow coworkers hoping to make DDAM into a successful series of events. We feel at the best the entire event was dissolved into a self-serving enterprise meant to prop up Meow's personal resume, if not solely for her own profit. That's something that we're going to talk about with, I think, every single one of these events for the most part, which I talked about this before. Where are you guys getting that events are like the best way to make a fuckload of money? I don't know what, like, I'm sure you guys look at like some events like VidCon, TwitchCon, Anime Expo Chibi even. We'll mention them at some point in this video. First time events, first businesses even, rarely print money. It's so much work. It's so many different moving parts. You may think, oh, it's going to cost this much to put on this event. And like we talked about how DashCon 2 approached this with like, this seems like a skill issue. And then it ended up being a skill issue. But they operated on a very reasonable policy of whatever we are told the number is going to be, we're going to try and do it for like a quarter of that. Smart. Most people don't do that. What ends up happening is they think they can spend a quarter while trying to get the numbers that they were, hoping for. And therefore this gap between this number and this number is profit. That's not how that works, okay? What often happens instead is that rather than things being cheaper than you think, there's all these different costs you didn't think of. Chairs cost money. Venues, to have food at your venues. Comp rooms, God, if there's anything you ever listen to me ever, if you are an artist, a vendor, a guest, a first-time event never has the capital to put you up in a hotel room for free. They may have, hey, we have a block of rooms, we got a group rate, this is where you can book your room. That's one thing. To tell you they're going to comp your rooms, scam alert. Don't do it. I don't care how famous you are. No, if it's a first time event, no, stay away. A lot was the Sacramento event. And then obviously this person vended at the Missouri event. So let's talk about what this person actively said about the Missouri event. Points I want to address about how this con went for Missouri and myself. 1, there was no staff. The Doki Doki company claimed they couldn't have people work because of our current political system, and that's understandable. But not directly hiring anyone is where the problem arises. They used the hotel and convention staff as proxies, and the only staff around were 2 social media managers who happened to also be deleting negative comments or complaints. I'm not going to negate that, like, the Cheeto in office is insane, and like I have warned people that are friends of mine in other countries that are coming over for events, like, heads up, have a plan in case you get held up and things like that. So I don't blame them for not being like, we're not flying anyone over from Singapore for this because we're not prepared for the costs and things like that. Also, that's a lot of money. But like, you're doing an event in Missouri, you can do volunteers and then train them. If you're doing an event, you're here for a certain amount of time anyway. You need staff. There's no, like, I hear you, but also if that's the red flag, then don't do an event in the United States right now. I know many events, mostly in the car space, frankly, that have been terminated and postponed because of the political and economic unrest in the United States currently that are based in the United States. You have the ability to do that. If anything, that's your get out of jail. This isn't a scam. We weren't selling tickets, things like that right now. Use it. Please. If you're going to the event, you have to have staff, okay? There was no traffic to the event. Even first-time cons and events have been way better than this. There was no traffic to the event. There was no advertising done except some sponsored Instagram post. I personally put up a flyer in a business in my town. If there were flyers, it would be possible that they would be more people. Majority of the people didn't even know what this event was. They suspiciously and randomly followed a bunch of accounts. Some people were not even in the area or state. This seems like less of a point. I get you bringing it up because, like, all together, it's the pieces coming together that makes everything seem like a red flag. Traffic, I'm assuming you mean promotion. Hermes is barking. Promotion for the event. This is an ongoing issue with a lot of these events. Breaking into a new market is very difficult. Marketing is something that we're seeing be a major issue for a lot of these newer events that are complete messes. We saw this with A Million Lives Festival. A lot of people I think that social media is this like marketing powerhouse, which it is, but you have to do the social media yourself. To have multiple alleged social media managers on site and then also have very little promotion aside from Instagram posts, that seems like a mistake. Unless you thought your vendors were going to do all the promotion for you, that's also a mistake. You should be running Instagram ads. You should be running TikTok promoted posts and things like that. There's a bunch of events here in LA that like I never would have heard of unless an ad popped up on my TikTok. And I'm not talking about like a sponsored post, like they paid someone to do a sponsored post. I mean, they literally did like a promoted post, like a commercial on TikTok. They can be very reasonable priced, so I don't know why more people aren't doing that. The prices for attendance was almost $100 for 3 days, and there was no weekend pass offered. That's just bad business, not necessarily like a red flag. The price per table for vendors was $250. No refunds were given or allowed towards vendors or attendees. The original price for the booth was $299 until multiple people complained about the prices. $250 for a 3-day booth when tickets are already $100 to attend all 3 days. I think a lot of people may have used the fact that this is an event that's gone on for 3 years in Singapore as justification for prices. The fact that it was originally $299, if it's mostly an artist alley type of thing, first time event at this location, Missouri, maybe $75, maybe $80 total for 3 days. Friday was added to our con event. A majority of the people attending didn't even know Friday was a day that was added. We vendors didn't know until a month before the event itself. We found out through Facebook, Instagram posts. There was no email, no messages. A lot of this is bad business versus actively being a scam. You know what I'm saying? Like, one, why would you add a day to your event after you've already announced the event? Your vendors don't even know. That's information they need to know. We vendors didn't even know. That's just dumb. That's just beyond a failure of the event itself. Some Sacramento vendors were aware of Friday being added, but not all of them. Okay, so this is something that was ongoing. Did they think that more people, they needed more? The ad, I want to know when it was added. That's important because if it was added after tickets were already on sale, and then it was added because they realized that, like, okay, we're not making enough money, then we need to add it. That's a separate issue. There was nothing else to do besides the vendors and the voice actors, to which they left early practically every day. While it was labeled as a market, they advertised it as a con with a high attendance towards us. They had no form of entertainment and a playlist that repeated the same 5 to 10 songs. Sacramento was similar, but I believe some artists paid between $750 for a premium and $1,500 for a vendor booth and didn't account for travel and food costs.
I still can't tell if this convention is a scam or just really, really poorly run. 5 minutes before the convention starts, no one's there. I keep trying to convince myself that I'm being dramatic and it's not that bad, but it was empty. I don't think almost anyone made their booth fee back. I left early again today, but I'm gonna push through a few hours tomorrow, and I'm giving up. This one was, in fact, really bad.
I'm looking through a couple of TikToks of this, and it's looking very A Million Lives Festival chat. This is from Punch Kiko. Not only were they not there and basically had no staff or security, they kept deleting concerned comments on their social media and kept posting booth setups and cosplays to look like they were engaged. No advertisement or anything, just quick cash grab for them. Almost nobody knew the event was happening. Most people heard it from a friend who heard it from another. Very disappointed. Do not vent here. You will lose money. The thing with so many events like this, and this is unfortunately what I've seen with the Missouri Sacramento event, and then obviously now we're learning more about the Singapore event, or that all came out as well. That was one of the speculations I saw, was that doing the Singapore events, Sacramento, and then Missouri so close together was that no one would have time to talk. Dumb. If that was your master plan, stupid. If it wasn't, just a red flag. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know why you would do one, if not two events in the United States if your ongoing issue for why you couldn't have staff or security was because you didn't feel comfortable flying them over, or you couldn't because of the current political climate, which again, valid reasoning, but then just don't do the event in the United States. Again, hire local people. Most convention centers will have local people that they recommend, local vendors that they recommend for security, for event staff, for volunteers and things like that, to just put it on them to hope that they would, it's just fumbled event. At the very least, bad business. May not actively be a scam. At the very least, bad business. Okay? Okay. That's anime market. In my personal opinion, will not be attending if you do another one. I'm assuming you will not be, frankly. Let's talk about National Gaming Expo, which I found out from a tweet on Twitter. This is from Dixerto. Florida had a National Gaming Expo that was a scam, according to people who went. Almost none of the celebrities who were advertised showed up, with it being mostly empty other than a few vendors and a petting zoo. To which I quote tweeted that, and I was like, why is everyone doing scam events lately? Why does everything seem like a scam? Why is there a petting zoo? It's giving blow up corn maze at VidCon Baltimore. Yes, there was a blow up corn maze at VidCon Baltimore. There's like a camel. Why is there a camel? It's in like a event concert space. Like they have a bunch of like stadium style seating, a big empty space in the middle of this photo, just like little one-off booths, and then a photo of the petting zoo with a camel. They have a lot of food for the animals, so you could buy food for them. Dixerto goes on to say, the event organizer just got out of prison in the Dominican Republic in December for trafficking, with many believing he scammed people out of their money on purpose. Disastrous Florida gaming convention goes viral with bizarre camel petting zoo and missing talent. What was billed as a major gaming convention in Tampa, Florida has instead gone viral for all the wrong reasons. The National Gaming Expo, held at the Florida State Fairgrounds from August 8th to August 10th, promised appearances from major video game talent including GTA 5's Ned Luke, Red Dead Redemption 2, Rob Withoff, Mortal Kombat actors, and even former voices of Princess Peach and Bowser. Weekend passes were priced at $90 with single-day tickets going for $40. Naturally, this attracted a fair few fans, utterly disappointed as they were met with maybe 10 vendors, missing celebrity guests, and a camel. This is from Platypus on Twitter. So this is my first con and I didn't know what to expect, but this was definitely not it. Don't support Mike Wittenberg, because I was at the National Gaming Expo and it was so awkward and unorganized. In fact, the GTA actor Ned Luke said it was a scam. The guy who ran it was a con artist. He put the con in Comic-Con to IGN, showcasing how disappointing the event was for both the attendees and talent. His claim that the guy who ran it was a con artist refers to Wittenberg, who formerly ran the National Vape Expo before it was shut down during the pandemic. He started the National Gaming Expo just months after returning from a 1.5-year-long stint in the Dominican Republic prison for international narcotics trafficking during a networking event at a resort. Okay, so I pulled up the National Gaming Expo. First off, the logo looks to be AI. If some human made this, apologies. This is an AI-looking logo. The site has been mostly nuked. It says coming soon on every single screaming thing with like a talent list. Nothing is clickable. It says it's powered by GoDaddy Arrow. So I went to our good old friend, the Wayback Machine, and a screenshot from June your gateway to gaming. God, I love the Wayback Machine. You guys do great work. You know what? You're asking for a donation amount. I'm gonna do it. Okay, that's how great you guys are. Everything's kind of cropped because of the way it's screenshotted. There's at least 8 people here for the talent. The show more is not loading. It's letting me open it, but like they're not loading. Okay, about National Gaming Expo mission. Although this is the first of many NGE shows, we are expecting around 30,000 people in attendance for the ultimate experience. That's not a mission statement. The website, like I said, is now nuked. None of this is available. Let's go back to the IGN article. That might give us more information. Oh, here we go. Even better. Okay, this is from Rebecca Valentine. GTA actor says disastrous Florida gaming convention put the con in Comic-Con. Update. Convention runner responds, blames celebrity talent agencies for actor absences. Doing incredible. We're doing amazing stuff over here. Update 8/13/2025. Michael Wittenberg has responded to complaints around the National Gaming Expo saying that the missing actors were entirely the fault of their representative talent agencies, Celebrity Talent Booking and Celebworks, the former of which he says he is preparing to sue for contract violations. Update 8/13/2025. A representative from Celebworks has reached out to issue a statement regarding the role in National Gaming Expo, saying it canceled its appearances following repeated communication and multiple opportunities for resolution, and that the agency lost faith in Wittenberg's ability to deliver a professional and viable experience for us. We've added their response in full to the update with Wittenberg's account in the article below. It's just like, again, what was the goal here? And I mean, I don't know. I feel like a vape event. If you're going to do a con, vape, crypto. Crypto dudes will just let them talk to someone who claims that they've made like $2 million in crypto. They'll tell you you did an amazing job, and if you didn't get it, you weren't grinding hard enough. Like, I'm not even kidding. Not to give you ideas, but still. The Dexerto article made the arrest sound way different. He was arrested there in 2023 for international narcotics trafficking during a networking event at a resort after signing to accept a 700-pound pallet filled with promotional items, but Dominican officials sniffed out pills, gummies, and cartridges containing THC, the active ingredient in marijuana, according to CBS News. Did I know for sure that stuff was in the pallet? No, but I thought it was a possibility. Was I stupid or ignorant? Yeah, I wasn't guilty. There's a difference, Wittenberg said at the time. I've done major conventions with these products for 10 years in major convention centers across the country. The warnings shared by convention goers, however, are less about the THC and more about Wittenberg's history with conventions. According to commenters, Wittenberg has run threadbare scammy events before, with some people even popping in to allege he's failed to pay workers in the past. While it's difficult to find a useful record online of his past events, these claims are somewhat supported by at least one review of the National Vape Expo still floating around the internet. During the weekend, I had come up with ways of passing the time, such as counting the number of steps between stands and taking regular coffee breaks, reads the review from a staff reporter. Vape around from 2017. Never in my life have I made a large flat white latte last so long. Normally, I am an espresso kind of guy, but the 5 seconds they take to drink would not cut it when I was running down the clock at such a vaping non-event as this. If you guys can dispute your credit card charges in a reasonable time frame, best thing you can do, frankly, in these regards. Don't wait on the convention to do it for you. Okay, I'll link this article down below. Let's talk about Once Upon a Con, the one that, I kid you not, hundreds of tags. Some people are even being like, "Hi, Swell," in their TikTok videos. I get it. A lot of red flags with this event. The cost I'm hearing different things about, but the main red flags I'm hearing are vendors, attendees, and then talent. So everyone. Another instance of over-promising, under-delivering, which at some point looks like scamming, whether it's intentional or not. At a certain point, you acknowledge we cannot accommodate what we have offered. And once you continue to go forward with the event, that is where you cross into scam territory. That's where we cross into fraud territory. Allegedly. For Once Upon a Con, a couple of different red flags that should have been discussed sooner. They changed the venue. At one point, it was going to be in Pennsylvania, and then at a different point, I believe it moved to DC. From an author's perspective and a talent perspective, we talked about this with the Million Lives Festival. No first-time event has the money to comp your room unless they're sponsored by Google, and I promise you, they're not. I'm not judging anyone. I'm not victim blaming in any capacity. I'm just saying, if there's anything that you take from me going forward, I get it, it's exciting because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm being valued, my work is paying off, whether it's an author or a cosplayer or anything like that. I get it. You have to be able to recognize the red flags and when someone is blowing smoke up your ass. And I believe in this instance, this was someone blowing smoke up your ass, whether inadvertently or on purpose. There was no way for them to book this. Now, one of the videos that I was shown, Endelian, on TikTok, Endelian apparently has worked in hotels and talked about this. They were there as a vendor. And also, side note, vendors getting comped? I've literally never heard of that. Vendor prices are where events make at least a good chunk of operating costs, like to get to certain bottom lines, which is why we're seeing a lot of events raise vendor costs for like established events. So comping hotel rooms and things for vendors, another huge red flag, frankly. Goblins and Growlers was apparently the vendor that Endelian was a part of. When they went to check in, they found out that their rooms were put under Goblins and Growlers, as in first name Goblins, last name Growlers. And so that apparently when they put in their legal names, that triggered like a new alert, so they needed new approval, is what they were told. Then it sounds like Endelian talked to a couple of people within the sales department, and it sounds like the event allegedly canceled all the rooms. And they used the naming issue, like this glitch, as an excuse for that. Allegedly. Again, this is where we get into just straight up scamming behavior. Once you acknowledge we cannot comp rooms, you communicate that before the event. And then if people are gonna pull out, yeah, no shit, you're not giving what they promised. This led to a lot of vendors, authors, talents pulling out because they could not afford the hotel, because they went to an expensive hotel to do this event. Now we're just into scam territory. Some of the videos I've been sent, lots of vendors, lots of attendees. A lot of attendees were promised VIP across the board. Just seems like weird. Apparently the VIP badges were never actually made, allegedly. So like the VIP line was at a standstill after being open for 2 hours because they didn't have badges for attendees that were VIP. So they like just put a sticker on the general admission badges. If you can't afford badges, again, cost, surprise, big surprise cost, get a wristband system. Just do that. There was like a bar crawl for like multiple of the restaurants or bars within the hotel that was advertised and part of like VIP. Again, multiple people were like, we went to these restaurants and they had no idea that they were supposed to have such special drinks. They had no idea they were part of the bar crawl. Why are we... Apparently one of the restaurants had the drink and it was not good, allegedly, according to a result. I have seen very little from inside the actual con itself. One thing that I did see a lot of was at least one author, because apparently, this is another thing that should have been a red flag. Authors were told that VIP guests were going to get 2 tokens each. 2 tokens. The tokens could be used by VIP to give to an author in exchange for a book. Author then holds on to tokens, doubloons, to then go and show to the organizers, this is how many doubloons I got. So they could be compensated for the books that they sold, they gave out. Red flag city. I'm assuming you guys know how much your books cost. Apparently one author's owed like $300 or something. One author made a video during the event being like, hi, I am no longer accepting these doubloons because the payment information that I have been told about how I will be compensated keeps changing. Scam. No. Once you make an agreement for something and then you don't deliver on it, we have a problem. We are now in fraud territory. There were red flags here with the financial elements of this, which again, a lot of these people that I saw making videos are like, this is my first time doing a convention like this. I think that was done intentionally at this point. It's frustrating because like, so many of the comments are like, are there any good book conventions? And it's like, I went to one. Romantasy Book Con in LA was done really well in February. Everyone that was supposed to come showed up aside from people that literally got COVID, and it was like 2 authors. That was it. Everyone else came. I saw multiple instances of attendees having to end up being the MCs and just doing panels with people because people didn't show up for panels. A bunch of panels weren't happening.
So obviously we're all wondering, why are these panels not happening? And it's because a lot of the people who were supposed to be running it went home because they had their contracts breached. These panelists, these vendors, these cosplayers, the cosplayers got so screwed over.
One VIP person said, okay, can I get a map? We don't have maps. Can I get a schedule? There are no schedules. What are we doing? Print a big one, stick it on a wall. There you have something. We're just in scam territory. And again, like I said, a lot of people were trying to add me to the Discord. Please do not do that. The Discords, I think, I have been told, have all been nuked at this point. My presence in there would not have helped that, chat. And I'm assuming they were nuked because, one, that's where you just gotta just start screenshotting things, chat. Timestamps. Get all the timestamps.
As the days go by with this convention, I'm continually checking in the Discord asking, did anybody manage to go to cafe? Did anybody have what was promised? Oh my goodness gracious. For those that did actually get food, because I would say about half of the people ended up going to cafe and they had nothing. This was what they were given. Does that look like a Japanese-made cafe to you? They never got the games. They never got the Polaroids, and nobody was in costume.
Apparently, the organizers for this event, it was 2 people. Now, again, events are a lot of work. 1 to 2 people can do a convention. They shouldn't, but you can if you make it small. Do it in a hotel. Get a lot of volunteers. Apparently, no one could get a hold of the organizers for most of this event, which is why people just decided, I'm leaving for the talent and all of that. I saw a couple of people complaining about the ball. The only videos I've really seen, I've seen like one video of inside the convention hall, which looks, again, very A Million Lives festival, very little like actual design going into like the actual venue itself. And then one video of the hotel, of the ball, that apparently they were doing ball multiple nights. I don't know why you would do that.
As a VIP, our masquerade was supposed to be on Saturday. We did not end up attending. We saw that the Friday masquerade was not what was promised at all. There was zero decor, nothing. It was just the convention room. What kind of immersive fantasy experience has no decor? You couldn't even get a Party City balloon. The water at the masquerade was $9. Are you insane?
Thank God I went to Romantasy BookCon, because like there were tweaks that I would make with Romantasy BookCon, and if you want to go watch that video, go ahead and go watch it. I talked about the tweaks that I would make, but like overall, comparatively, it was Picasso compared to this shit shows that I keep being sent and tagged in. Why does this keep happening? Stop it. Make a plan. Make a group chat. I don't know. Get a board of directors, but also don't. Stop doing these events. And I really don't know if like these people that are doing the bookish events, if the reason we're seeing a rise of like scamming type bookish events, or just people getting way in over their heads, is because they see the like potential gap in the market for their area for bookish events. Because let's face it, lockdown, a lot of people either rediscover their love of reading, that's what I did, or they straight up just started reading and became voracious readers, and that has persisted into getting out of lockdown and everything like that into this day. And now the events are happening again. People are like, I want to go to a bookish event. I've never been to a convention. I want to go to these events because I feel safe with writers. I feel safe with authors. I feel safe with readers. A lot of these events are very woman attendee heavy, which is very comfortable for a lot of first-time women attendees. I talk about this a lot. Look for the events that you want to go to and things like that, and where you know you're going to have like that mutual understanding with people. And so I think that's why a lot of people feel safe going to bookish events as their like first event ever. And I don't know if that's just leading to a gap in the market where these people are like, we can do this and we can make a ripoff and things like that. I really don't know. But like, it just keeps happening. We talk a lot about attendee experience here and that, like, obviously that's my experience. But like with A Million Lives Book Festival, the average person that was affected by that event was authors. A lot of authors are out of money now because of this event, because they still paid for hotels and things like that because of that. A lot of people explained like, oh, I was always paying for my hotel, so I'm not going to talk about that part. Understandable. Like so much of, ideally I would love if like every video that I make was like, this event was amazing. It was glowing. I had an amazing time. And like often I still have an amazing time, even if an event is an out and out shit show, because that's who I am. I love mess. And I love events. But I would love if I didn't get tagged in events like this constantly. I want you guys to tag me in events where you're like, this was amazing, you should try and go next year. That's my ideal goal. But oh my God. So Once Upon a Con finally put out a statement, by the way, about everything. This is from a few days ago as I'm recording this. Dear team, staff, attendees, and partners, I want to take a moment to sincerely apologize for the challenges we faced during the recent convention. I recognize that my actions and decisions directly impact the overall experience, and I take full responsibility for the shortcomings that occurred. I failed you as a convention chair. I tried to do too much, and everything was a mess because of it. Were there a few issues out of my control from the start? Yes. Were the biggest challenges through the weekend because of my lack of proper communication and planning? Yes. As one of the convention chairs, I should have ensured proper planning and delegation, but I let my refusal to give up control hinder our team's efforts. This has led to major operations issues that overshadowed the hard work put forth by our staff and volunteers. I deeply regret that my lack of effective management affected not only our team, but also the wonderful attendees who joined us. It was never my intention to create difficulties or detract from the positive experiences that many had. Some people did say they had a good time, at least in the vendor spaces. They enjoyed talking with authors, they enjoyed the vendors. And I want to make that clear for Once Upon a Con, because some people will be like, well, I had a good time. You won. If you had fun, you won. Congratulations. Okay, fantastic. A lot of people feel ripped off. Also valid. I want to ensure you all that I'm committed to learning from this experience and ensuring that I do better in the future. I will not be taking part in planning or execution of our event and have full faith in the team of taking over the lead of this event. This is from Elena, which apparently is one of the people. I don't know why you think you should do another event. The hotel room, if any of that is real, about you guys canceling all the hotel rooms and just using that as an excuse to try and like fill up the bottom dollar, I don't know why you think anyone would trust you again, frankly. Like this is where you go and leave for another event. You go and work with another event, learn more of the ropes, and then come back and maybe do something under a different name. But Once Upon a Con, canceled. Overall, with Once Upon a Con, overpromised, not even close to being delivered. Pack it up, hope you don't get sued. Some people are talking about suing you, which I'm assuming is why you nuked the Discord, because people were talking to each other. That's really going to be it. Overall, stop it, everyone, okay? Stop with the events. Stop. If you guys are going to tag me in things, I do appreciate it. Just remember I'm one person. There was a delusional part of my brain that told me I should do 5 videos in 1 week to try and cover every single one of these videos in its entirety separately. And then I decided that would be insane. So I didn't do that. You get this video instead for 3, and then you're gonna get the other video of 2 other things that have happened. Didn't even talk about Anime Expo Chibi. Anime Expo Chibi has basically been they've nuked that non-compete policy. That's a separate video because now, because of Anime Expo Chibi being weird, I now have 2 events to go to in 1 weekend, and that's going to be a separate video. So congratulations to you guys for that, because you forgot I'm a dick. That's really going to be it. Did you go to any of these cons? How do you feel about any of these conventions? I've previously interviewed one of the authors that was at a Million Lives festival on Twitch. If you are interested in potentially being interviewed and you were an author or an exhibitor or someone that was directly impacted by this, you would like to be interviewed on Twitch, you can shoot me an email. DMs are sometimes no man's land, chat, so we got to be careful with that because some of my audience is weird. It doesn't mean you're weird, just saying. And yeah, let me know, comment down below if you went to any of these events. And also, why do you think that people think that these are get-rich-quick schemes and that there's going to be no ramifications but putting on a bad, if not, in some instances, actively unsafe event? Let me know. Comment down below. Reminder, I stream on Twitch. My Swell Entertainment is now available on Spotify. Reminder to check out Girly Pop Go for more car and motorsport videos. Shout out to my channel members. If you also like to join channel memberships, you can go and join them below. Like to follow me on all social media. That'll be all up here. And that's me to have a lovely day. Goodbye. Like, again, at a certain point, it may not be a scam, but bad business does constitute fraud at points. It's like you're one wrong number, one wrong accidental move from being charged with like a crime. Like, what are we doing?